Hello, good people. I'm your man, L.A. Cheatham. Welcome to Watch the Game podcast.
Benjamin Banneker, what's going on? I thought you was about to say something else. I didn't want to cut you off. Benjamin Banneker, what's up, people?
Yeah, man, what's happening? Hey, good people, feel free to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Watch the Game podcast on YouTube. Subscribe and like the videos. We're gonna run this thing all the way out to the football season, and pretty much football and basketball is pretty much what drives the show. Uh, Penn tonight. I got a concerns. I got a lot of concerns about the Miami Heat and the state of the American basketball player.
Wait, should I just give you the floor? Should I just give you the floor?
Well, okay. First and foremost, we could touch on the things in Game One. You a Heat fan? Pretty sure you walked away. From this game feeling a certain way. A few things that need to change in this series, and I got some opinions as well. So let's cover Game One and try and figure out a way that game two could be more competitive.
There we go. So my thing is, where was Jimmy? Playoff Jimmy was another no-show. I don't know what the reason is for his dip and play like this, but I know if he don't be playoff Jimmy, then we really ain't got no shot. Caleb Martin turned back into Caleb Martin. No shade, but he turned back into Caleb Martin in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Was not the same player we saw in the Eastern Conference Finals. Even Gabe Vincent had a good game. Bam Adebayo, I think he had 25, 26 points. 26 points
Hayward,
on 25 shots.
Hayward showed up. My boy Highsmith showed up.
I got to get to Bam first, dude. I can get to your boy Highsmith. But yeah, Bam, what he had? I think he had 26 points on 25 shots because Mike Malone said basically we not worried about that if you're taking that many shots to do that. And just my overreaction to Bam, like, dude, you scored 25 points and y'all got blew out. Like, it was not even effective when you scored. Your points mean nothing. So, and last but not least, Kevin Love, I don't think he played because fourth quarter, I was like, they not about to embarrass me on national TV. So I took me a little nap, took me a little snooze. But how does Kevin Love not play before Cody Zeller? Those my takeaways.
I get you with Bam. 26? You say about 26 points, useless points.
Empty calories.
Bam also had 4 fouls. Bam played 39 minutes. Okay. His backup, Cody Zeller, played 7 minutes. 0 points, 3 rebounds. All I can think about with this series, of course, you had Jimmy Butler. He came out pretty good. He hit some shots. I think he hit a 3. His first 7 points, he got off to a decent start. But all I could think about as this game went on, the exact opposite happened in this game than I thought would happen. I thought the Heat would have more of a rhythm because they had been playing more. And Denver had a long layoff of 9 days. And I thought that the Heat would get out to a good start and Denver would be fighting back at the end. And I thought that Miami would hold them off. But it went the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And after that, all I could think about is Miami spent way too much time messing around with Boston. This is a totally different basketball team. The matchups are totally different. The strategies are totally different. Miami hasn't faced anyone in the playoffs that presents the same type of challenges.
Including Milwaukee. Yes.
Yeah, including Milwaukee, exactly. And they did have Giannis was missing. Giannis missed maybe 2 games in that series, but this Denver team is just really good coaching that matches up with really good talent. A lot of guys in their prime. I don't think Jamal Murray gets his just due. Maybe by the end of this series, if they win, maybe he will. A lot of the talk is about Jokic, and I get it. But Gordon, they were very physical with the Miami Heat in Game 1. They got the game going with Gordon posting up. You
I think
know,
he had 12 points in the first quarter or something like
yeah,
that.
right away.
Yeah.
I think Jokic was he scoreless in the first quarter? I mean, I don't even know if he took a shot.
Yeah, I
You
don't think he
know,
did either.
so what that tells me is that Mike Malone said, you know what, we're going to beat them with the size and strength, and that's exactly what they did. They punched it, punched it, punched it. You know what? It brought me to the conclusion that the teams around the NBA have been playing small ball for so long.
If they forgot how to play,
Yeah, we
what a
finally
traditional.
have a team that's going to play big boy basketball
Yeah.
and match up at the rim. No one else is really doing that around the league. I mean, yeah, you got Philly, and they may have the second best big man in the league in Embiid, but when he's playing 30 feet away from the basket and no one else is really pounding, this can be a good thing for basketball, in my opinion.
Kind of like what I talked about. I think the revolution of the mid-range game is going to come back because everything goes in cycles. I mean, this is the first time we've seen it go in a 3-point cycle to this degree. But I think when you got players like Kawhi who actively use the mid-range, Jamal Murray, KD, Jimmy Butler, like there's guys that do it, but it ain't really sexy. You know, KD can shoot the 3 ball. Jimmy really can't. Kawhi can shoot the 3 ball, but his bread and butter is, mid-range, down low on the post. So this could be, we all know it's a copycat league. Everybody starts shooting threes because what? Golden State
Steph Curry.
they went on their run, and then if you wanted to beat the champs, you had to play like the champs. Pretty much. That's how everybody
I
started playing.
guess. I
Yeah.
guess you could say that.
Right. So to your point, yeah, with Denver, if Denver goes on ahead and wins the championship, it's a copycat league. They might start trying to emulate more things what Denver does. I don't want to say a big man running the point, but somebody to facilitate the offense more than just pick and rolls, more than just drive and penetrate. So yeah, we might get back to some basketball that we familiar with if Denver
Yeah.
goes on to do it. But I'm still hanging in there with the Heat.
A little more diversity in the game is what the game needs. I
Yeah.
can appreciate low post. I can appreciate the mid range, and I can appreciate timely shooting and from the 3 point range. There's a time and place for it all. I mean, there's a time and a place where you can play positionless basketball. But I think what Denver is doing, they got 2 different ways they play this game. They play through Jokic and they play through Murray. Okay, when they sit, they can go either way. They can play through either one of those guys. And the Heat, how they're going to match up with this, I have no idea. Now, when you think about it, Tyler Hero, is he coming back tonight?
I haven't seen none yet. They was projecting maybe game 2, but probably for sure game 3.
They need a bigger guard that could score. You had some frustrations. They were not hitting shots. They took a lot of threes in game 1, talking about the Miami Heat. They have to find a way to neutralize the Joker. And he played 40 minutes. He had 1 foul.
Exactly. And then he shot 2 free throws, I believe, the whole game. So I'm sure Spo, went through the proper channels, made some complaints to the NBA. So I'm sure that he'll get a more friendly whistle tonight. You already know, sports entertainment. So we probably gonna get that. I don't know if that's gonna be enough to get them a game or not. Still, playoff Jimmy got to show up to get them a game that they need. But I fully expect to see the Heat get a more favorable whistle.
Yeah, you have to find a way to neutralize the Joker and Gordon as well. as far as they're concerned. You got to keep a body. You got to find somebody to just keep a body on Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. You got to keep a body on those guys. The Heat have a tall task. They don't have the lineup that can go big, and all I can think about is the backups, the backup role to Bam because he's already small, which is Cody Zeller. 7 minutes ain't gonna get it. Maybe we can
Mm-hmm.
get. Maybe you need to put Kevin Love in the game. Um, and then I can't help but to think about that roster spot that Udonis Haslam is taking up at this time. Because right now, if you could dress 12 guys, you could literally say that Miami's dressing 11
Pretty much, yeah.
because they're not going to use Udonis Haslam. And at this point in time, at this point in time in the playoffs, they need another big. They need two bigs to go out there, and their job is to just neutralize either Gordon or Jokic, and they'd have a much better chance of winning. Because it's pretty even when you come to the role players. When you talk about Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, and then you talk about Bruce Brown and Caldwell Pope, they're pretty even when you look at it like that. But they don't have the physical. They don't have the physical players to match up with Gordon and Jokic, and that's the problem right now. And really don't have the matchup for Murray either because they need a much bigger guard to guard him.
And even when you look at the injury, no Tyler Hero tonight, by the way, I just looked it up. But even with if they was at full strength, so that means Tyler Hero is playing, he's a guard. Oladipo is playing, he's a guard. They still don't have what's necessarily needed for them to be able, I don't want to say to be able to compete because they got to the NBA Finals, but to make their chances a little better so they can match up better, they didn't have those guys on the roster. So I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword to me because I'm looking at it. If they do go ahead and pull off the championship and win it, what does that mean as far as roster tinkering going forward? Because I've been highly critical of this roster, how it's constructed. Too many of the same guys, not enough quote-unquote hoopers. You got to go get another star or a superstar to go with Jimmy. Haven't had that. Haven't had a serviceable big, bad contract to Kyle Lowry. Bam Adebayo playing out of position. The list goes on and on and on. So it's like if they win, how many of these guys get brought back because, hey, thanks for what you did. We consider you part of the core. Or if they lose, we need to go in a totally different direction. So I'm kind of torn there. I still want them to win and then kind of still retool this thing. So
Yeah, I do. You can't count them out right now. It's only one game, but they are 0-3 against this team this season. The last game, game one of the final, was more lopsided than any other the other first two games that they played.
right.
Uh, Tyler Hero was pretty good in one game, and then Jimmy showed up in the other, but they lost both games. And the only difference is the I brought up that rookie that's not they're not utilizing him, which was Orlando
Robinson.
Robinson. I
Yeah.
mean, the kid came off the bench in one of those games and gave him 13 points. Now you can use them 13 points. Not to say they're necessarily going to come from him, but they got to come from somewhere. And I would think that you need those points to come from somebody with some physicality, somebody that can draw a foul on Gordon or Jokic. That's the only way. You got to get to the foul line. I don't even know how many free throws they shot. That was the difference. See, that's the reason why the Lakers played them so close. Even though they got swept, the Lakers played them so close because they were physical with them. They got to the
Mm-hmm.
foul line. They slowed the game down. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't. They just couldn't beat them. They couldn't really match up with them when it was all said and done. But they kept everything within reach, and that's how they did it. They got to the foul line. And he got to figure out a way to hit shots and get to the foul line. And I can't say it enough. Neutralize Jokic and neutralize Gordon to a degree. That's that's pretty much it. That's my answer to Miami
To,
Heat
to, to
winning
the
a
riddle,
game.
A game. So you went so far as to go A game now. Like we might be looking at a possible sweep in your eyes.
Yeah, because it's not so much they don't have what it takes to get it done, but they spend so much time in Boston, and I'm thinking now they're probably wishing they could have took care of business with Boston because now you're going against a well-rested team. You've been scouted. You got maybe a day or two to recover from game one, make some adjustments. But at the same time, you still got to figure out a way to keep guys rested up. You just come out of a 7-game series with the Celtics, and then not to mention, it's a very different team when you talk about the Celtics. The Celtics was a one-on-one basketball team, pretty much one-on-one.
And some pick and roll here and there. Yeah.
Some pick and roll here and there, like you said, but pretty much if they weren't his shots, they weren't very good. But when you see that Miami put out that 2-3 zone, Denver came out and utilized it. They broke it down 2 or 3 different ways. They popped the middle. They screened the zone. They penetrated the zone with the dribble. They did it 2 or 3 different ways. I mean, so I don't see them changing up anything on the defensive end, but on offense, they got to. I don't get it. Why they keep allowing? I thought that Bam could be effective, pushing the ball up the floor with more pace, and maybe that could wear Jokic down, but that ain't happening because he's still stopping at the foul line or mid post, and he's looking to get rid of it instead of attacking Jokic's chest and forcing Jokic to be a shot blocker. That's pretty much all I got for this series. I got a whole lot of other concerns before we go off when I talk about the American basketball player. If you want to finish up on this series, I know you want your Heat to come out on top tonight. I'm at a loss for words as to whether or not I can pick him to win tonight. I really am. I really got to see. And this is the test of Spoelstra. Now it's time. They've been talking about him being this is the time for him to show.
I ain't going to go that far on Spo. And the reason is because he ain't got the roster to really show his coaching acumen. Yeah, he can push some buttons, but he still can't overcome that Denver is just a bigger team.
I understand that. Yeah, but he's got to do something. He's got to do something in this series for people to continue to look at him and put him on that, they kind of put him in some high echelon areas at this point in his career. They mentioned his Spoelstra with some top-notch coaches.
We talking about like pop level?
I mean, the end result is he's got a couple championships. He's been to the finals
6 times.
So it's well worth the conversation. But this is his biggest challenge yet
because of the roster.
But this is where the coaching comes in at. There's no LeBron. There's no Wade. I mean, Jimmy's good, but Jimmy's more like a workhorse guy. He's a two-way player in every sense of the word. So he's got his work cut out for him, and he's gonna have to figure out a way to get some physicality in the trenches of that lineup. And I think he's gonna have to bring Kevin Love off that bench. We might see Kevin Love real early.
We're gonna see Kevin Love tonight. I would be willing to make a FanDuel bet that Kevin Love plays tonight. I'm confident in that. And I'm just looking at Jimmy's stat line. 38 minutes, 13.7 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. And I want to say he had 2 threes in the first quarter and a little jump on the sideline. So he had 8 in the first quarter, maybe?
Something like that. He got off to a decent start, but he kind of fell back later on. I think the reason why their shots weren't falling is because they had to exert so much energy on defense, and it kind of took their legs away. And then you look back, damn, we just got out of a 7-game series. At some point in time, they say, you know what? Let's kind of get ready for game 2. But my main man, Haywood Highsmith, said, oh, no. In the fourth quarter, my main man, Haywood, said, no. I'm going to try and come to the rescue. He got that thing. They got within 10. They just couldn't finish the job. But Haywood stepped up. And Haywood's one of the guys that have not logged a lot of minutes.
You always find the guy on the team. Haywood Highsmith. Ryan Nall. You always gonna find the guy.
Yes. You know why? because I watched the game. You don't need to see when you don't need to see a ball player for long. All you need to see is a couple plays. You know what I'm saying? And you can pretty much see what he brings to the table right away. Not necessarily on the offensive end. Okay. Back when LeBron was playing with the Heat, my boy was Joel Anthony. That was my boy. I'm telling you, man. I love Joel Anthony because he can't like the Heat can use Joel Anthony right now.
But he was still undersized. He was only 6'9" too. But yes, they could use
But
him.
he was
off the bench.
physical. He was physical. He was an accident waiting to happen. Come on, man. All right. So, hey, it's gonna be a challenge for them tonight. I think we got that point across. I think you want to see Kevin Love play. It's gonna be interesting to see if Kevin Love hits the floor, what he can bring to the floor. One thing I didn't touch on, it slipped my mind the other day before game one. Do you know that every time Kevin Love's played in the playoffs, he made it to the finals?
Every time Kevin has played in the playoffs.
Every time he's got to the playoffs, he went to the finals.
He was on LeBron's team for 4 years, so 4 times. He only been to the playoffs 5 times then.
You're right, because he could never get there with the
Minnesota.
Yeah, because he was the man, but he didn't have the roster around him to get even to the playoffs. But that's interesting, but kind of see what kind of impact he'd have. Maybe he can impact winning for them tonight.
Shout out. Look like we got some people chatting in the chat. Shout out YF watching on YouTube. Appreciate you tuning in tonight. Real quick, shout out Cutter Pac-Man. It is his birthday today. Yep. We should have kicked off the show saying happy birthday to Cutter Pac-Man.
You damn right. Yeah. I hit him up this morning. That was the first thing I did when I picked up my phone. Shouted him out his birthday, and it's him and that means him and Link under the same zodiac, right? Am I right?
I believe, because he's the 23rd and Cutter the 4th. Yeah.
So him and Link gonna be
Gemini.
pretty tight. Him and Link gonna be pretty tight then. Okay, all right. So yeah, man. But we've talked about game one, and we talk about some of the things we think they could do in game two to be better. And I think it's more like a personnel issue and hitting some shots would help. But I think about the Joker and all the things that's being said about him at this point in time in his career. 2-time MVP for the past 2 seasons previous to now. And, YouTube is a wonderful thing. Because, the one thing Joker does, is he plays the post position with patience at every spot. If he's on the perimeter, if he's on the block. Okay, that's something that's been done before. Shaq was good at that. Kareem was good at that. Wilt Chamberlain was good at that. Most of your really good centers were good at passing out the post. Now, Kareem played, I think, 7 years with the 3-point line. He wasn't a 3-point shooter. That wasn't his game. Shaq, same thing. I mean, he played his whole career with the 3-pointer, but that wasn't his game.
Right.
But Shaq could bring the ball up the floor. He wasn't allowed to.
Right.
Shaq would bring the ball up the floor because it was fun. It wasn't strategy. He was, he was having fun. And they allowed him to do it once or twice a year. But with Joker, he gets to roam to the perimeter and shoot the shot, and he gets to pass and create from the perimeter. When people search for a player similar to the Joker, the only guy I could come up with is Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah, he used to shoot threes too, didn't he?
But even with Bill Laimbeer, he didn't play at that same level. But he kind of played with the same skill set, but he had Isaiah and he had Joe Dumars, and they played a different game at that time.
And Chuck Dudley and Vinnie Johnson and Mark McGuire and John Sally. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Buda Edwards. You can go
yeah.
on and on. John Sally, Dennis Rodman.
I ain't even say Rodman. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I thought about with Denver? I was at the car wash. You know, it's strange what you can think about when you're in the tub and when you're in the
Oh, at the
car
car
wash.
wash. Yep.
So I'm in the car wash and I thought about the Detroit Pistons. And I say, you know what? Without the physicality and the defensive physicality, these guys kind of remind me of the Detroit Pistons. I
Kind
mean,
of
they,
both versions of them too. Even the Rip Hamilton ones, if you think about it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and that Detroit Pistons team, that was a workhorse team. That was a bunch of misfits. Nobody wanted that team. When you think
Mm-hmm.
about it, a lot of those guys were like kind
Chauncey
of cast
Billups.
offs. I mean, they were like got drafted in other places and ended up in Detroit and
Right.
became a championship team. But we've seen a guy like Joker before. And in my opinion, his name is Bill Laimbeer. Um, and when you think about guys that could have possibly guarded Joker and put more pressure on him, I had to think about Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain is probably one of the most athletic big men to ever play the game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Wilt Chamberlain was a high jump champ. He
He
played,
ran track. Yeah.
yeah, he ran track. He played volleyball. He was just a straight up athlete, and he was strong as hell. So if you listening to us right now, in between time, if you want to go see the physical attributes of a Wilt, YouTube is a great place to see that. I mean, Wilt could run the floor I think he was like 7'2". So, the point is, we've seen this before, and what I'm getting to now is the American basketball player and our approach to the game of basketball. Uh, we in the current era. I think we've been playing small ball for about 10 years now.
At least
Steph
in
Curry,
2015. Yeah.
yeah. Steph Curry comes in the league. This is his 13th season, I believe. I took out the time to watch Steph Curry's first basketball game. I think I mentioned that to you as a rookie, and he spent more time around the mid range. So that means Steph Curry had to develop his 3-point shooting to the pro level. Because coming out of Davidson, he was known as a great shooter. So he had to just get stronger and develop his technique in shooting. But all around the league, he's influenced this shooting, just shooting the basketball. And if I have to credit the modern basketball player, that's the area where they have did the most improving with
Shooting.
shooting.
Yep.
Yeah, with shooting. And I would have to think that when I compare eras, I'm not going to say that Shaq would have been a better shooter because Shaq's free throw percentage wasn't good at all. I'm not going to say that Wilt would have been a better shooter because Wilt's free throw percentage wasn't good at all. But when you think about guys like Akeem Olajuwon, uh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could shoot the hook. He could shoot the hook shot from
About 18,
15.
20 feet.
Yeah. So that's hard to do. The next time you're at the playground, try that. Try and
It ain't
hit
gonna
the hook.
work.
Try and hit the hook from 15 feet out. When Magic passed him the ball in Magic's very first NBA game, he hit Kareem at the I think it was the left elbow. So Kareem turned over his left shoulder and let that thing go. It was all net. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's years and years of perfection. So as excited as we are about the Joker, and he well worth the hype. The question in my mind come in as I was in the car wash is if Denver wins this championship, do they have what it takes to win multiple championships? I don't necessarily think so. I don't know. Something to
Could
see.
I think they seem to be more of a team like that Pistons team. Remember that Pistons team got to 2 finals, but they only won one. They beat the Lakers and they lost to the Spurs. Denver kind of got, and maybe I'm saying that because it's Denver. You know, I know Denver, that ain't a sexy pick. That ain't a sexy basketball team. I mean, we can't deny they got the 2-time MVP. He won it, and damn sure probably could have won it this time 3 times in a row. So you can't discount that. But I don't see the dominance in them like you could see with Golden State, like you could see with the Heatles, like you could see with the Spurs over they run, like you could see with the Lakers of the early 2000s, the Bulls and the Pit, like you could see it. Like, this is the team of right now, and they just don't have that. They don't have that aura about them. Maybe because I know Joker's trying to talk a little bit more and try and show a little bit more of his personality, but it's still not something I don't think we as the basketball public are grasping on to. Like, our kids ain't going out and getting no Joker jersey right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll go get Giannis. They'll go get Embiid, but they ain't going to get no Joker jersey. So,
which brings me to Murray. Murray is, if Murray can continue success, I can see him being a guy that can be marketed to the youth. He plays the guard position. You know what I'm saying? And he looks like a lot of the cats. You know what I'm saying? On the playground, stuff like that. And what it brought me to is the American basketball player. How are we developing them at this point? And then it also brought me to the conclusion that this is why you can't afford to have guys like Ja Morant, as talented as he is, go out the way he's going. Hopefully he can get better with his surroundings and the decisions he's making. And then when you think about a guy like Zion Williamson, I mean, these are the guys that over the past couple of years have been heavily marketed to us. These are the American basketball players that come off of American soil, but they either have an issue. And then when you look at the AAU game, it's a lot of flash and dash. Where are the fundamentals? And what about when you not scoring baskets? What else you gonna do?
I'm gonna illustrate your point to a T. I turned on 2K23 last night. I was just scrolling through. I don't know. I wasn't really looking for nothing, but I was just kind of looking at stuff, and I noticed Zion Williamson's rating versus Brandon Ingram. Now, us on this podcast, we probably would pick Brandon Ingram to be the better player. Am I right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
His rating was an 87, and Zion's was a 92. And I'm like, how?
Yeah, I get it because Brandon Williams, I mean,
remember he was touted to be the next KD.
That's what you just took the thought out of my mouth. Words in my mouth. He was considered to be the next KD.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about video games, I don't want to dive too deep into it. But what I will tell you this: Brandon Ingram's been way more available than Zion Williamson, and he's been way more effective than Zion Williamson. So he's gotten that team on the brinks of the playoffs or whatever without Zion Williams, and I think he's made Zion Williamson expendable. You know,
he just got it. He just got extended last summer. He got his contract extension. So I don't know if that was the case of take the money so you can get your max and then get traded.
I mean, look at what Anthony Davis did. He had just recently signed a deal and he got figured out a way to get out of New Orleans. So
Kevin Durant.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's the modern ball player. And see, that's another thing. Giannis. Foreign ball player, and he comes with a different mentality. He doesn't mind being in the place of Milwaukee. He's not complaining about the rest of his teammates. You know what I'm saying? Bring this guy, bring that guy. And then he's available for the most part. He's been available. He got a little injured this season, but he's available. You know what I'm saying? And then Jokic. He's just playing the game. He's just playing the game. Now, the one thing they don't have that you can discredit Denver, they don't have palm trees. They don't have the palm trees and the beaches to attract the other free agents to come in, kick it in Denver.
You
know what I'm
mean
saying?
the free agents don't want to go to Denver and hit the slopes? That's what you telling me?
Hey, man. Hey.
They don't want to go to the Broncos game? Sierra there. They don't want to do that?
Look, you see what KD did. KD got out of Brooklyn. He went to some palm trees. You know what I'm saying? He went to the desert.
Yeah.
You know, Miami, Los Angeles, Phoenix. These places have a little bit of an advantage when you come down to the NBA free agents. And then the
But
interesting
Orlando
thing,
don't.
Orlando, I give you that. I give you Orlando, but they got to be winning too. You got to add winning to it as well.
Yeah.
But the American basketball player was my point. Was the state of the American basketball player. I mean, you can sell us whoever you want to sell us, but the proof is in the pudding. If they don't play, we can judge them one way or the other. If they having issues off the court, we're gonna judge them one way or the other. The American basketball player must improve. And the sad thing about it is, since Shaquille O'Neal and Tim Duncan, we have not really wanted to feature a traditional big man. And now here it is with Joker. He's coming in at the big man position. And now people are acting as if it's something they have not seen before. He can hit the shot, he can hit the three. But the next time we see an American born big man, who knows? Maybe 5, 10 years from now.
I don't think it's gonna be Link. I don't think he's gonna be that tall.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So since it's a good thing that we got a player like Joker to reestablish the big man and the versatility of the big man from a facilitating standpoint, that's a great thing. But we got so far away from that. And now here it is. We have the Denver Nuggets capitalizing on size and strength at pretty much every position. So I'm hoping that we can get away from the positionless basketball and the small ball. And if you want to build your team to be small, fine. But play that way and let the styles be contrasting so that we can enjoy the game. I don't need everybody to play the same way. I really don't. It kind of gets kind of boring when you look at it. So, but the game's about to tip off.
Yeah.
Real soon.
Yeah.
So if you've joined us tonight and if my man Penn's got some closing remarks, man, would you give them to him? Because I'm ready to get it on.
And listen, all I'm gonna say is like and subscribe. Shout out again to YF for joining us tonight, dropping some comments. We appreciate you. Again, like and subscribe. I got heat going tonight. Obviously, I got heat going tonight, or I'm gonna be in trouble. So I'm about to get over here, put my FanDuel parlay in, throw it in real quick. Hopefully, I can win a little change. And yeah, I'm good. I'm sure be back for game 3.
Watch the game, enjoy the game. Hopefully, he can pull it out so we can at least have 5 of these things. Get an extra game out of this at least. Watch the Game podcast. Subscribe. We out and enjoy the game.